All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me. I have a special guest today, Emma Bruen from St. John Vianney. I pronounced your last name right,
Yes.
Emma?
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for joining me. Emma's a junior at the legendary St. John Vianney for girls basketball. Like I said, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Before we get into the fun basketball stuff, how have you been dealing with the virus, being restricted to, not be able to go to parks or, group training or any of that?
It's been tough because I can't go train with other people and have competitive stuff to do, but I have a basket here and I've been shooting and doing virtual workouts. So it's been okay.
Yeah, I see all of the stuff you post on Twitter. You definitely have been working very hard. Your
Yeah.
dribbling skills are very impressive.
Thank you.
How about school? How have you been able, handling school with the virtual learning and everything?
It hasn't been too bad. I'm trying to keep myself on a schedule with that, wake up at 9 and get it all done. And it hasn't been bad. I feel like they're giving me a good amount of work and it's keeping me busy. So it's not horrible, just kind of annoying.
Is it like most of the other schools, about 2 o'clock it ends?
Our submissions have to be in by 4 p.m.
Okay.
But they're extending that because of AP exams. So now I think it's going to be 6. So we have all day to do it.
I didn't think about that. Finals would be starting about now for the private schools. And I remember that. That's going to be, not just for the students, but, for the teachers too. It must be challenging.
Yeah.
And how about, Jordan mentioned it a little bit, not having, socialization, not being in school with your friends. How's that been?
It's been hard. I miss seeing all my friends, and a lot of my friends are from my basketball team, so I can't see them at all, and it sucks, but hopefully it all ends soon enough.
Yes, hopefully. It looks like it's starting to get a little bit better, so hopefully in a few weeks it'll even, parks are opening tomorrow, which is a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, let's go into, a little bit of background, your family. You have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a 13-year-old sister.
Okay, does she play any sports?
She plays basketball.
Okay. Do you, you being the older sister, give her pointers and, try helping her?
I try to, but she doesn't like being corrected by me or my parents, so she kind of just ignores me.
That's how the younger ones always are.
Yeah.
How about parents? Did they play any sports when they were younger?
My dad played recreational baseball and stuff, and my mom was on the swim team, but they didn't play any basketball.
Okay, so you were first one basketball. How about any other relatives play any basketball?
Yeah, both my aunts played in high school, and my grandpa coached boys basketball for a long time.
So they help you out a lot?
Yeah, they like to give me pointers. They love to talk about it. My aunt still likes to reminisce in her high school career.
High school, the good old days. So how old were you when you started playing basketball?
I think I was 7. I started a local church league. I'm pretty sure I was 7. I could have been 6, but that was long ago.
It seems like, me doing these interviews, it seems like basketball, you start a little bit later than, say, baseball or t-ball or, soccer. But, I'm not interested. That kind of makes sense. It's hard to, reach the hoop and so when, when you're younger, even when you play on the 8-foot hoop. Any other sports, before you got into high school, did you do?
I ran cross country and track up until 8th grade, but I didn't really like running as a sport. Running's always been a punishment for basketball. You do something wrong, you run, and it just. Ugh.
I was the same way when I was younger, and now I seem to enjoy running a little bit more. It's weird how that happened.
Yeah, me too. I like running now more than I did in middle school, but yeah.
Good. Best form of cardio.
Hmm.
Keeps texting me. So how old do you think you were when you realized, basketball was, your sport that, you wanted to pursue?
I'd probably say like sixth grade. Like I always just like played recreationally, but I really wanted. I knew like it was my sport over like the over like cross country and stuff when I was like 11 or 12.
Now, do you do any other sports at St. John Vianney, like track or cross country, or just,
No,
basketball's
we
focus?
really don't have time because in the preseason we do strength training and then there's AAU after.
Um, Going back to your parents, how have they helped you in, your development, to become a, elite player like you are?
Well, my dad works, so my mom is with me all the time, and she'll like drive me to all my training, make sure I'm signed up for stuff, so it keeps me busy and keeps me getting better. And I really appreciate everything they've put me in because it's gotten me to where I am.
Yeah, that's great, especially when you get the parent support,
Hmm.
willing to do everything. Um, Talking about training, who are some of the trainers you've had through the years?
I've trained with Tiny Green from Hoop Group since I was like younger, like maybe like 10. Like
Okay.
he's been there forever, and even when I was younger, I did Coach Dawn's Jersey Shore Elite trainings and her camps and stuff. And I shoot with Kristen Samoji from the Jersey Cardinals. She's my shot coach. She helped me so much. And yeah,
That's a good person to be your shot coach.
mm-hmm.
So you've known Dawn for a long time then, not just when you entered St. John Vianney.
No, she when I was in middle school, when I was in like 6th or 7th grade, she coached my AAU team, and like I loved playing for her.
We'll talk a little more about Dawn when we get into the high school stuff.
Yeah.
How have you been training? Recently with everything going on, I know a lot of people are doing the virtual training. Have you been doing that?
Yeah. I've been doing like 1 to 2 Zoom calls a day, like Hoop Group's
Oh
doing
wow,
them. Yeah. And Coach Dawn has us doing Zoom workouts with Kelly Campbell. She's been doing ball handling for us, so it's been keeping me busy.
Kelly Campbell, another great person to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Who are some of the players you train with?
Um, Usually during the season, the preseason and postseason, me, Meg Cahalan, Katie Hill, Ashley O'Connor, like Paige Knudsen, we all go to do after school shooting right from school. So we do that. We used to do that like every day. So I mean, all the SJV girls, a lot of them go to Hoop Group, so we all kind of just train together.
That's great. It's a good way to get good chemistry too
Mm-hmm.
when you're spending that much time together.
Yeah.
Um, all right, let's high school. Um, you're a junior, so
Mm-hmm.
a couple of years under your belt. Um, let's talk about why St. John Vianney. Why did you choose to go private school?
I just like I knew I wanted to play for like in college, and I knew that I would get better exposure and play like on a more competitive level at like SJV. So that's why like I wanted to go here. It wasn't just that it was like a private school, it was like for the basketball.
What town do you live in?
I live in Middletown.
Okay. So would you went to North or South?
I would have went to Middletown North.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's always tough with the school, the towns that are broken up, Jackson Liberty, Memorial, you
Yeah.
went to Two Bricks, Middletown. I even when I was in high school, I always felt it was like an unfair
Mm-hmm.
advantage for the public schools when they're divided like that, because the talent's been spread out.
Yeah.
Um, so talk a little, about Coach Dawn. Her resume speaks for herself. I actually, before you guys played St. Rose in the States, I was talking to Coach Russo a little bit in the stands, who, basically one of the ones that started this great St. John Vianney.
Mm-hmm.
How is, Dawn's basically taking the reins and continue the tradition. How is it playing for her?
I love playing for her. I mean, she always makes it so like practices are great. I love playing for her. She keeps things intense and still fun. Like I love the way she runs our team. She's just a great coach. I mean, most people know like she's has a great track record, and she helps us all get better.
It's always a plus when you got such a good coach and she's able to make it fun for you girls because, I've been around, I hear stories of, coaches who, if you have a bad coach, they can make a great talent end up wanting to quit the sport. And, great that Dawn, and Dawn's track record speaks for herself with, kids going on to play college, whether it's Division 1, 2, or 3. It's good to see. And, where you're, what our expectations are.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk, going into, your freshman year. What were some of your goals you had? First, let's start like school goals. You don't have to really start, not necessarily basketball, just, what you were expecting, going into, high school.
Well, I knew that, I went to public school my whole life. So when I went into private school, I knew it was going to be different. So I had to adjust to that. But I also my goal with just school was to like make some new friends because they was all different people and keep my grades high.
Are you a good student?
Yeah, I have a pretty high GPA. I take school seriously. I want to go to a good college.
That's, everyone, sports, but your grades can help you more than, any sport can. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
How about some basketball goals you had, your freshman year?
Well, I was going in and the team was already like a full roster. Like we had 2 seniors and like 5 juniors. And I knew that I wasn't really going to get a lot of varsity time, so I did start on the JV team, and I just wanted to improve and get to a better like basketball level. And towards the end of the season, I got pulled up to varsity, and I felt like really accomplished that I could do that.
That's great. Your freshman year, any seniors or juniors that helped you, that you seemed to, click with that was able to help, in your development your freshman year?
Our seniors that year were Maddie Doring and Sarah Furch, who both played Division 1 now. And even when I was at the camps, both of them were like super nice and always trying to help. And when I got there, like they just tried to help us out in like any way they could, like basketball, school, whatever it was. They were very helpful.
That's great to hear because, I hear stories, some kids don't always want to help other kids, afraid of losing time, but I'd have to say that it probably goes with the culture that Dawn set too, trying to make everybody better.
Yeah.
Now moving to your sophomore year, there's a lot of expectations with this, senior loaded class. Who are some of the seniors on your sophomore year?
Our seniors were Sajida Bonner, Bree Bellamy, Ramina Henderson, Sarah Carpel, and Natalia Spinks. And 4 of those went and played Division 1 basketball. So yeah, there was a lot of expectations for our team that year.
Yes. Now that year, I did not get to see you guys until you played St. Rose in the South Jersey non-public A finals. Talk a little about, first of all, your how it felt, you're getting that far with the team, and then talk a little bit about felt like losing to St. Rose that game.
It was crazy to because I really wasn't getting a lot of play time with the senior heavy class, and just watching how hard they worked to get that far was it was really fun to watch. But that St. Rose game, when Lauren Lithgow was shooting all those threes, it was painful to watch. It was definitely hard to watch.
Yeah, I thought that St. Rose team was a special team. They kind of had a little bit of everything. Compared, this season. So you go into your junior year, not as much, wouldn't say they wrote St. John Vianney off because they never do. It's just the expectations weren't, TOC, the hype wasn't there as it was, the other year. Because, like you said, no seniors this year. Before we really get into that, talk a little bit about playing, Maz and St. Rose, sophomore this year. Katie Hill, you're great. How is it playing with those 2 players?
They're both phenomenal players. I really like playing with them both. They're both really good teammates and players, and I've actually known them both for a while. I played with Maddie back in when I first started AAU on Jersey Fusion. So I've known her for a little while, and I played with Katie like 2 years ago. So it wasn't anything new, but I definitely love playing with them.
So the first time I saw you guys play this year was in the Christmas tournament that St. John Vianney holds. You guys played Gil St. Bernard. And when I left that game, I felt you guys were the number one team in the Shore. I know early in the season, I got to catch St. Rose against Rutgers Prep before that. It's just you guys look like a complete team. Great ball movement. Everybody got involved. What was the feeling in the locker room before the season started with, team not getting the hype or, like they usually do to start the season?
Yeah, I mean, we all knew that, like, because of like media and stuff, that people weren't expecting a lot out of us, and we like had confidence in ourselves, but I don't really think that we knew we were gonna do as well as we did. Like, we were definitely ready to prove people wrong, but we exceeded our own expectations in the end of the season. Like, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, obviously you got a superstar, Madison St. Rose. Katie Hill, great shooter, could take it to the hoop. Christina Whitehead, excellent three-point shooter. Ashley Connor, good point guard. Meg Callahan, I thought the defensive job she did again that Gil St. Bernard game, that's what really opened my eyes in the game. And you guys just look like a complete team. So I was, after that, talking to, when I talked to other reporters, I said this St. John Vianney team, in my opinion, was the number one team for sure. Yeah, let's talk about, you go through the season. Who was the big, you guys had a big win against a nationally ranked team, right?
Yeah, Riverdale Baptist.
Riverdale Baptist. Talk a little about that game, because I didn't get to see that game. I remember getting the text messages, from other people about the win. So how was that game?
That game was big for us, especially because the last few years in that tournament we haven't won the games there. So this was.
Which tournament was that?
I think it's the Blue Star tournament. That's what I think it's called. Yeah, that was exciting because we did better than the last couple teams. I mean, the last couple of years that went there, but they did play different teams. But our goal was to go in there and win, and it was such a close game, but it just felt really good.
Yeah, that was a big win. And then, me and you spoke a little bit after the Long Island Lutheran.
Yeah.
You guys lost that game. I know you were very disappointed. What were they able to do that gave you guys problems that game?
That was just a really bad game. Like, we played one of our worst games. They're such a talented team. Like, they move the ball really well. They have really talented players. I don't know what our issue was that game. I don't know if it was the 4-hour bus ride or if we were just unprepared.
That can definitely do it. Now, that was the team's only loss the season, right? Yeah. Even since I was young, I always thought, I never liked going into the postseason undefeated, because you got bullseye or more pressure. One loss is good to have, in my opinion, especially when it's out of state against the powerhouse. I know I didn't bring this up, but you guys played Christ the King. I know it wasn't the same Christ the King everyone's used to, but tell me the experience of being able to play that with, ESPN, ESPN 3.
Yeah,
it was on. What I mean, that's pretty big accomplishment. Talk how that was.
That was super cool. We were all super excited for that, and obviously, like, Christ the King has always been a team that's been like a really good team, and I know this year that Natasha Marshall had the ACL problem, and they weren't the same team, but they're still like Christ the King. We wanted to go in and beat them on TV, and like that was just so cool, like seeing how everything worked and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even as a fan, it was really fun, to watch. I know a couple people were talking about having viewing parties. It's just, your team definitely should be proud. Just even if you didn't win, just proud being able to, be on ESPN 3 for a game. Moving on, short conference tournament starts. The 1 seed, obviously. How did it first you guys beat St. Rose in a very good game. I guess we'll talk about that. How was it being in that game, seeing Madison and Bryn Farrell basically trading bucket for bucket? I know as a fan, it was so fun to watch in the state.
Yeah, I mean, both of them are great players. So seeing them go head to head, like basket and basket, like it was really cool. And I know Maddie really went all out that game, and she was a really big part, obviously one of the biggest parts of our win. And Bryn Farrell's like one of St. Rose's best players, and that was just a fun game. It was a stressful game, but a fun game.
Okay, you guys win. Then you move on playing Manchester. Now, the year prior, you guys lost to Manchester in the finals. How did it feel getting that win back and winning the Shore Conference
that
title?
feeling was like surreal. Like no one expected that of us, and even like Manchester probably thought that they could have easily beaten us this year with all our seniors. So it was cool that like no one thought we were gonna get there, and then we pulled it out, and that was great. Like that feeling was so great.
Yeah, I remember I was at work. I was streaming the game at work. It was a fun game to watch. There was points where it looked like you guys were going to blow it open, and then they came back, and you guys were able to finish that game out. It was a really good game to watch. Let's move on to states. Who did you guys play first in the states?
I think I don't remember.
You guys ended up playing up St. Thomas Aquinas,
that
right?
was the second round of states, I think. I think our first round we played Mount St. Mary's High School.
Okay. How were they? I know they gave St. Rose a tough game earlier in the year. How was that game?
That game was okay. I mean, they were decent, but I think we went in thinking that we knew that kind of like we were gonna move on from that game. I mean, we were.
It's all right.
Yeah, we were still like, like they did give St. Rose a hard time, so we still prepared for them as if we would any other team. But then we started playing. We were like, we're fine. Like we got this.
And then the next game was St. Thomas Aquinas. Now I know they have two very good seniors, and last year they gave your team a good game in the states. How was that game?
I mean,
this
their
year?
team is super talented. Like Emma Bruen is super talented, and Kelsey Ransom, and that's a really good team. But that was we were like, I'm trying to think of how to put it. we still prepared for them as if we would, but I think like we prepared for them a lot. Actually, we wanted to move forward with it. We didn't want our season to end because we knew they all had seniors and they were going to come out with everything they had, so they like we don't end our season again like we did last year.
Yes, and talking about Boslett and Kelsey Ransom, I got to see them on the junior year there, last year against Manasquan. Something that impressed me, both of them always got their hands in the passing lanes, and were able to deflect. You guys, you win, move on, you play St. Rose, who beat you last year. My opinion, it was pretty convincing. Talk about being able to get that victory back and win the South Jersey non-public.
We wanted to win that game so bad, and especially because people say it's hard to beat a good team twice. So so we were as soon as we heard they beat RDC. I mean, we already played St. Rose, so we were kind of like hoping RBC was going to pull it out so we can play them because I mean we all trained with the RBC girls and stuff. But when we found out we were playing St. Rose, I mean we were excited because we wanted to play them again because they ended our season last year, and when we beat them, it felt great. It felt even better than the first time because now we beat them twice.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that game. I think it was that game. It might have been the Shore Conference tournament. We talked, briefly after. I think you're one of the top defenders in the Shore. You looked like you looked a little winded, and you made a comment to me, which, to me is one of the most impressive, comments. I congratulated you on such a great defense, and you said you were pretty tired after that game, and then you said, I'm not going to make sure it never happens again. That's such a great mindset especially somebody your age, always wanting to get better. And, you saw that, maybe a weakness is you might have gassed a little towards the end of the game and, you want to get better at that. I just want to, say, how impressed I was when you
Yeah,
told me
thank
that.
you. I mean, I was really gassed after that game, and it didn't feel good being exhausted, but we had a lot of foul trouble, and it felt good because I got to work through that game, and we pulled out a win. So felt accomplished, but tired.
Yeah, like I said, for you, for any player to make a comment like that, knowing that, and with the confidence of saying I'm going to make sure that doesn't happen again, and you could see it with your workouts that you're posting, how hard you're working. So after that, unfortunately, the season ends, because of the virus. How, not just yourself, the team, how did it feel, you not being able to finish out, and most likely, in my opinion, winning the, non-public
I
A
mean, that
state
was
title.
devastating. Like we were so ready to play. We were supposed to play IHA, and we were so ready to play them because we
Yes.
scrimmaged them. We felt good about it, and we were excited. We thought we were going to go all the way this year. And when we found out, we were all devastated. This was our year. It wasn't even really supposed to be our year, but it was. And when that got taken away from us, it almost felt unfair, even though there's nothing anyone can do about it.
Yeah, I was, me just being a fan, I was disappointed because I was looking forward to seeing, the TOC run by your guys and, a possible, Trenton Catholic versus St. John Vianney final, which I think would have been phenomenal to watch. So next year, your senior year, what are some goals you might have personally, and and the team goals?
My goal is to do even more than I did this year because my main thing this year was defense, and I just want to widen, expand my skills in every part of my game and just become a better overall player. And I mean, our team goals are the same. We want to go all the way, and I know we wanted to do it so bad this year, so we're gonna want it even more next year.
I know, defense always stands out when I see you play, but you could shoot the three, you could take it to the hoop. So just keep with the confidence and keep working because that's one of the reasons your team's so dangerous. That everyone focus, it's Katie and Madison, but you, Christina, are just strong offensively. You could pick up the slack, say, if one of them's having an off day. Okay. AAU. I'm not that familiar with AAU. I just focus mainly on high school sports. Who are some of the teams you played for AAU? Starting from when you were younger.
Tons of teams. Some people just find one home and stick with it. But I mean, I started with Jersey Fusion, where I met Maddie, and then I played for Stars with John Mayo. Then I played for Jersey Shore Elite under Caitlin Linney when I played with Katie, and now I'm with the Jersey Cardinals with Patty Coyle, and now this is my team for 2 years now.
When you were on the Fusion, who was your coach there?
Yeah, she was great. She helped me develop a lot of my skills.
Okay. And how about, you said the Stars were next?
I actually played with Jordan.
Who was your
coach?
Okay. Who was the coach for the Stars?
That was John Mayo. He was great too. I mean, I've played for all great coaches.
Okay. It's always good. And then Jersey Shore Elite, who was
it was
Dawn
for I think 1 or 2 years, and then we had that team with Katie and a bunch of other players that we played under Caitlin Linney that year.
Okay. And now you play with Cardinals and Coach Coyle. How is she? How do you like playing for her?
She's great, and she has a lot of experience. She coached professional and college, and then she's coaching AAU now, and it's cool. And I mean, I love her.
It's always great, learning from a college, and you said professional. Who did she coach?
She coached the Liberty.
Oh wow! I mean, that's that's pretty impressive. Being able to learn from her. Who are some of your teammates on the Cardinals?
Last year Jess Reapy was on the Cardinals from Marlboro, and Yes, so I
Excellent
love
player.
her. And then I played with Julia Nilsson from Rutgers Prep, and then Nina Branchizio from Monroe. Those were like my closest friends on that team, but there were a bunch of great teammates from Staten Island and like North Jersey.
Where do they where are the Cardinals based out of? Like, where do you guys
Rutgers Prep.
practice in? Rutgers Prep. So that's a little bit
Yeah.
of a commute. So last year, same team. So your mother does a
Yeah.
lot of driving. It looks like. I mean, it's always great, parents, willing to do that, especially, um, willing to make the commute. I don't know how many days a week, but I'm
Yeah.
sure it's a
Mm-hmm.
couple. Uh, Before we wrap up, a lot of juniors especially upset, don't know what this AAU season is going to bring with the virus. What are your feelings
It's
about
really
that?
worrisome for me because, like, number one, I miss playing, and I have relationships with colleges, but I definitely wanted to be able to showcase myself for my last year, and like traveling with my team is great. I mean, I'm just like sad, worried, and yeah.
I know Jordan made the comment, not even just that, it's just, being with your friends, traveling around. What can, talk a little bit about the bonds you guys form, going away, going to, I know you guys go to
Yeah.
Chicago, you got the trip in, Atlantic City. Talk about the bonds and the
Yeah.
friendships, you've gotten
I
just
mean,
playing AAU.
every team I played on, I've always loved my teammates. Traveling with my teammates is like one of the best parts of summer to me. I love it, and I mean, even last year, like my whole team became super close, but my closest friends and I like were together all the time, and then we hung out outside of AAU. Like the friendships in basketball, like feel like they're gonna last forever. Like they're great. I love my basketball friends, and I'm gonna miss traveling with them this year.
I spoke to a player last summer that graduated the year before, and basically the same thing. That once you get to college, things you're gonna miss is traveling on the buses. Whether it's high school or going out to dinner with your AAU team. So I mean, I do feel bad for the juniors. Not knowing when it's gonna start. Not just for the playing, the showcasing for colleges,
Mm-hmm.
but your
Yeah.
friends and stuff. Uh, Before we wrap this up, after high school, what are you looking to? Do you know what you're looking to study in
Somewhat. I
college?
mean, my strongest subjects in school have always been like science and math. Like that's just how my brain works, and I've always wanted to take that into a career. So I'm thinking like something in the medical field. So I'd probably want to be like a bio major in college. Like I'm not sure I'm not 100% sure yet, but like that's one of my main ideas right now.
How about when you were younger? Kid like 10 years old. What was your
I mean,
dream
when
to
I was
be?
younger and like I was playing basketball, I obviously like every little girl or guy's dream is like I want to play pro. Like I want to play pro basketball.
That's great. Good ask. You're going through the recruiting process. Not necessarily for basketball, but what are some things that you might be interested in? Looking at when you look at schools. Non-sports related. I know one person I talked to. They wanted to be in go to a school, a certain part of the country. What are some of the things for?
I'm basically like I'm only really looking at the East Coast. I don't want to be too far away from home.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
yeah, and I mean besides that, as long as it's a good school and like I see fit for myself, like that's really what I'm looking for.
I mean, that's the biggest thing. You gotta make sure it's
Mm-hmm.
the right fit. More and more kids, transferring, whatever the reasons may be, but make sure you get that right fit, and then you get the right fit. You seem to excel, whether it's going to be in the classroom or
Mm-hmm.
on the court. Well, Emma, I think that's about it. I really appreciate you joining me. You were one of the, I don't know how to word this, But you were one of my
Oh,
favorite players
thank
to watch
you.
this season, because you do it you do it on both ends of the court. A lot of good talent out there. No offense to anybody else. I enjoy watching everyone play. But I wish you luck, and hopefully this AAU season starts, and maybe at the end of next year we could
Yeah,
get you back
okay.
on.
Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Emma.
Bye.
Bye.